Turkish Airlines presents Business Africa.
Hello and a warm welcome to this week's edition of Business Africa. I'm your host, Afolake Oyinloye. Here are the top stories we're covering this week. Malian Diaspora is driving sustainable development through innovative investment. Ciwara Capital is leveraging diaspora resources to boost agriculture, create jobs and build climate resilience in Mali. As food insecurity grips Kenya, urban farming is transforming unused spaces in Nairobi into vital food sources, providing employment and meeting up to household food needs. Cultural landmarks, improved connectivity and the diaspora's influence are propelling Morocco's record-breaking tourism growth, setting the stage for the 2030 FIFA World Cup. At COP16 in Riyadh, the Malian diaspora showcased how innovative investments are revolutionizing agriculture, building economic resilience and combating climate change. The effort highlights a blueprint for sustainable development across Africa.
As nations gathered in Saudi Arabia for COP16 focusing on desertification, a new model was emerging to help farmers better adapt to climate change. The Malian Diaspora showcased how African capital can bridge the financial gap and drive sustainable development. They've created Ciwara Capital, which is investing in businesses like Sopri Trilad, a rice company in Mopti. It works with cooperatives supporting small producers, guaranteeing their markets and access to new rice production techniques.
With the new method, we now harvest up to 34 bags of rice where we used to get just 20. We also use less water, saving fuel on water pumps.
Sopri Trilad's new factory, funded by Ciwara, is creating jobs and curbing rural exodus.
With the new factory we are building, we'll need a lot of paddy rice. This should reduce famine and rural exodus in many regions. And we are trying to train young people so that they can really stay here, cultivate and work the land.
For Ciwara, this initiative reflects a larger vision.
The ambition is really to put at the service of the development of private sector companies in Africa all the know-how and the financial means that this diaspora can mobilize to participate in its own way in the development of the continent.
This innovative model demonstrates the transformative power of diaspora investments in strengthening economic resilience and addressing Africa's development challenges.
Joining us today is Magai Guy, an economic consultant speaking to us from Senegal. Welcome to the show, Mr. Magai. Now, how can diaspora-driven initiatives like Ciwara Capital close Africa's financing gaps in climate-sensitive sectors?
Evidently, the funds from diaspora provide some kind of security. Diaspora funds act as a safety valve, offering a vital alternative. However, these funds are not only directed towards traditional sectors that struggle with financing such as agriculture, renewable energy and water supply, but also target priority areas like SMEs and innovative startups. Moreover, the diaspora doesn't only bring financial resources, it also contributes expertise, skills and networks. These assets are crucial as they reduce African states' dependence on external funding. To amplify the impact of diaspora financing, it's essential to strengthen guarantee funds, enhance institutional frameworks, and scale up mechanisms like diaspora bonds. These bonds could unlock the full potential of diaspora contributions and help meet the continent's funding demands.
Now, what role does international support play in scaling up these initiatives?
I firmly believe that funding from organizations like IFAD, the European Union and the World Bank must be additional resources, especially given the current global context, where many countries lack the means to act decisively. In terms of partnerships, the first priority should be fostering participatory governance rather than imposing top-down projects. Secondly, it's crucial to promote co-financing mechanisms that minimize reliance on foreign currencies, particularly dollars, and instead prioritize local currencies to mitigate exchange rates.
Now, what key COP16 policies could enhance agricultural development and investment, especially in unstable regions?
You have mentioned about unstable countries. For fragile and vulnerable countries like Mali, the starting point must be a strong emphasis on peace and security. The second priority is water management, as many African nations remain dependent on rainfall for agriculture. Furthermore, African states should explore the establishment of community-based fertilizer production units at the continental level. Currently, the continent relies heavily on imported inputs, which is unsustainable. Lastly, the global reforestation goal of restoring 1.5 billion hectares as agreed at the Riyadh conference must be addressed. Achieving this will require substantial financial resources and strong political will, both of which are currently lacking at both the African and global levels.
Ce qui malheureusement manque, non seulement au niveau africain, mais également au niveau mondial.
Thanks so much for your time.
I thank you very much.
As Africa's urban population surges towards 1.5 billion by 2050, feeding growing cities has become an urgent challenge. In Nairobi, urban farming is emerging as a transformative solution, converting small unused spaces into thriving hubs of affordable, fresh and sustainable food production.
Africa's urban population is projected to grow to 1.5 billion by 2050, intensifying food security challenges. In Kenya, 1.9 million people, or 12% of the population, face acute food shortages. Urban farming is addressing these issues. In Nairobi, residents are using vertical gardening, hydroponics and container farming to grow vegetables and transforming rooftops and small spaces into vital food sources.
We use this type of farming simply because in Kibera we don't have enough land of which you can plant such a what you can see over here.
Urban farming has helped me reduce the cost of buying things from the market. As an urban farmer, most of my produce are ingrown at my rooftop.
Urban farming meets 20 to 60% of household food needs in cities like Nairobi and Dar es Salaam, according to the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization. It also reduces food costs and carbon footprints, as produce in Nairobi often travels 300 to 500 kilometers from rural farms.
In the villages, you find that like a sack of carrots, it's very cheap. But when it gets to Nairobi, it's very expensive. Someone who comes from where they grow carrots, they don't even understand why it's that expensive.
What is this urban farming coming to bridge? Is affordability of food, because it has not incurred a lot of cost in terms of transportation. This food will be clean, safe.
Urban agriculture is a sustainable solution to urban food insecurity, creating jobs for 15 to 20% of the urban workforce in cities like Nairobi, Kinshasa, and Accra.
With its rich cultural heritage, iconic landmarks, and strategic connectivity enhancement, Morocco is cementing its position as the premier global destination. Tourism soared by 31% in November alone, but what is driving this remarkable growth, and how is Morocco preparing for the 2030 FIFA World Cup? Let's explore.
Morocco's tourism sector is booming, having welcomed 15.9 million visitors by November 2024, marking a 20% rise compared to the previous year. November experienced a remarkable 31% increase in arrivals. But what exactly makes Moroccan tourism so successful? Morocco, as one of the most ancient countries in the world by virtue of its strategic location, has been home to a group of civilizations from the prehistoric period to the present day. I visited Rabat and the monuments to discover the places, the history, to understand the civilization around the Mediterranean. The expansion of the strategic air routes and the focus on off-the-beaten-path destinations have enhanced accessibility, resulting in a rise in visitor numbers. The Moroccan diaspora has been instrumental, adding 1.1 million visitors and reinforcing cultural and family ties abroad. Morocco's tourism goals are ambitious, aiming for 17.5 million visitors by 2026 and 26 million by 2030, when it will co-host the FIFA World Cup with Spain and Portugal.
And that brings us to the end of this week's edition of Business Africa. Thank you for joining us. For more in-depth business stories and the latest updates, stay tuned to Africanews and visit us at africanews.com.
Business Africa was presented by Turkish Airlines.